After 3 years of keeping a bullet journal and much trial and error, I have finally decided on a consistent way to set up my bullet journal each month. And so I thought I'd make a video walking you through this setup. And before anyone calls me out, what you'll notice about my monthly spreads, monthly setup in my bullet journal is that it's basically a combination between how Ryder Carroll, the creator of the bullet journal, sets up his monthly spread mixed with the Clear Habit Journal by James Clear. There's a reason why they make all the money off of selling these journals. They have really boiled it down to what is important to people and what they want to track in their life and how they like to organize their life. And I, again, have just mashed these two up to fit my own needs and my own life. So I just want to walk you through it today, and it won't be like traditional bullet journal videos. I'm gonna go pretty fast. All right, so let's get into it. So as I said, it's a pretty basic traditional bullet journal setup. I have my calendar here and also my events here. Again, this calendar is used like any other calendar. I use it to fill out any important events coming up in that month that I already know of or are already pre-planned. And I kind of, these two are redundant, but what's unique about this side of this spread is you'll notice here it says June events and highlights. So I not only put in, again, the events that I already know of in advance, but every day I go through and I just list 1 or 2 word phrases about what I did that day and what were my highlights of the day, like what were the best parts of the day. Like for instance, today I went to go get boba with my family, so I put boba just to, again, it was one of the highlights of the day, so I put it there and just to remember, like, oh, that's the day I did this, just to keep track of what goes on, especially nowadays where time feels like it's an illusion. All right, and the only other section on this 2-page spread that I haven't talked about yet is right here, this box. So this is where I put my goals and tasks for the month. And what's different between a goal and a task is that a goal is a little bit more like, there's a little bit more work to it. So it will essentially take the whole month to achieve that goal. So last month, my goal was to post 4 YouTube videos because I'm really working on this consistency, hence why you'll see videos coming out from me maybe twice a week now, but I'm trying. So again, the goals take probably the whole month or two weeks out of the month, and a task is something I do one time. So it could be something like I want to get a car wash or I want to clean out my closet, and that's the difference between goals and tasks, at least in my definition. In this middle section, I put in kind of monthly habits that I've stuck to, at least tried to. And one of those habits is I do digital minimalism at the end of every month, and that basically is a time where I make sure all my memory cards are backed up and eventually formatted so that I have more room to shoot more content. I clear my inbox, I clear my phone of anything that doesn't need to be on there, whether it's apps, photos, videos. So that's just an example of one of the monthly habits I do. I'm trying to think of what else I do. Oh, I do a social media detox at the first and the end of the month. Yeah, and then I put my bills because, you know, that's the fun part of adulting. And I primarily, I mean, honestly, I only really use black and red pens because, again, we are very minimalist here, at least in this bullet journal. But the only time I use a different color is for my bills. You know, money's important. We like money, and we also like to know where our money is going. So I use this to put like, this is when this is due, and most of my bills are automatically transacted. Is that a word? But there are some that I have to pay manually, so I, again, denote that with different symbols. Again, if you want a more in-depth video of that, I can make it. Moving on though. All right, on this second 2-page spread, so that's all I have, just so you don't think there's more. So my monthly setup is 4 pages in total. As I was saying, on this spread, you'll see the likeness to James Clear's The Clear Habit Journal. Right here on this page, I have a one-line reflect, and the difference between mine and James Clear's is that he leaves a star open, a prompt open at the top, so you can write about something different each month. A one-line reflect. And I've honestly always kept it gratitude, because gratitude is super important for happiness and just living a better life. So I always keep it gratitude. I usually try to I fill it out not the day of, but the day after. So I reflect on the day before and talk and say I am grateful for, and it usually has to do with something that day. And sometimes it's like, if it's I got to see my dad or something, I will be like, I'm thankful for my dad, or I'm grateful for my dad, and yeah. And then right here is probably the most busy page in my monthly setup, is my habit and mood tracker. Essentially here I have 5 daily habits that I try to do. Again, not every day I fill out all of these, but the goal is to try to do all 5. In this column I have weekly habits, so every week I like to work out. Not just once a week, I put it weekly habits, but it really doesn't mean that. And in parentheses, I put 2-day rule. So if you're not familiar with the 2-day rule, I will link you to this video by Matt Diavella, and he explains it very well. Basically, it means like I don't miss 2 days in a row when it comes to working out. And I put the days I work out here in this column. This little play button is if I upload a YouTube video on any given day, and then this little circle is if I watched a movie or a show, because as an aspiring filmmaker, it's important that I am consuming good films and shows. And then lastly, mood tracker. I have it on a scale of 1 to 10. And honestly, I don't think I've ever had a 1 day, thankfully. If I'm like having, I would call one of my bad days, I'm usually like a 5 or 6. But anyways, we don't need to get into that. But yeah, it's just to see like how I've been feeling, and in the month I can reflect and be like, okay, yeah, that was a good month. Or like if one week it seems like it dipped, I can be like, what happened that week that made me feel not so great, or why was I feeling sad? And it's just, again, a good way to check in with yourself. Oh, I totally skipped over my daily habits that I try to stick to, but my daily habits that I try to stick to, and these are like non-negotiables, I guess. That's how I came up with these 5. That sounds really sure of myself. But yeah, these are the 5 things that I've found that if I do any one of them, makes me just feel better about myself and happier just in general. So I have still, read, write, move, and create. And I know all those are pretty straightforward, except for still is kind of ambiguous. So still is essentially meditation. I do guided meditations every day. I've done a guided meditation every day for the past, I think, like 75 days now. My Insight Timer app told me, so I'm pretty proud of that. But it has made all the difference in my life. And yep, I keep track of all of those here. And well, that's about it. I'm sorry if that was really fast and all over the place, but I just wanted to walk you guys through. And if you want a more in-depth video about how I set up my bullet journal and the why and the how, then let me know down in the comments. If this video was helpful, I would really appreciate it if you gave this a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more from me, and ring that bell so you don't miss a thing. Alright, YouTube, I'm Marissa Roxas. I'm a filmmaker from San Diego, California, and I hope to help you put self-love first. Alright, take care.